You're listening to Supervision with a Vision, where we discuss all things supervision. I'm your host, Sarah, professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, play therapist, eating disorder specialist, and cookie lover, with my co-host, Heather, marriage and family therapist, certified Together in Texas counselor, a Texas transplant from California, and outdoor adventurer. Hi, welcome to Supervision with a Vision. Today, Heather and I are talking about the value of feedback in supervision. This week, we read How to Elicit and Implement Group Feedback in Counseling Today 2022. And there were a lot of good points in the article, but the main big points were, first, ask for feedback.
Yeah, asking for feedback. That can be hard if you think that you're in a situation where you maybe don't want the feedback, but you know that's how you get better.
I mean, I think that's the first step, right? If you're asking for it, then you're already somewhat open to getting it.
Right. I mean, if you're looking for improvement or you're looking to see if you've made whatever, I can think of lots of different job situations where you have to hit quotas, a certain amount of time, or if you're reaching your goals that you hope to reach, you need to ask for feedback.
So when you're thinking about that, are you thinking, well, you did say roles
Right.
or jobs. Do you think about getting and asking for feedback in all of the different roles that you play?
I think yes. I'm making a funny face and I'm really thinking about whether that's true or not, but.
Right. And I mean, if I named the roles that I think that you and I play on a regular basis, it would be counselor, supervisor. So that would mean with our supervisees, with our clients, office mates.
Sure.
Spouses.
Sure.
Kids, friends. That's a lot of different kinds of feedback, potentially.
Right. And sometimes it may not even be, in certain situations, if it's not as professional, the feedback may not be, it's more like if you're asking for, in a social situation, for feedback, you need to know who you're asking.
Like if you're asking for feedback on a work thing, you're not going to ask your kids.
Right. You need to know who you're asking, making sure that that's valid.
Who you're getting it from.
Right. I actually have a supervisee that on occasion will ask a colleague that's maybe not as seasoned as she is, or she'll ask her husband about a work thing. And I'm always like, well, I mean, unless they're in the counseling field, they may or may not know.
Right.
That's not,
I'm thinking way off from these work-related ways of getting feedback. I'm thinking like, maybe I have a new outfit.
Right.
And not everybody likes it, but I think, well, I don't care.
Right.
I wasn't asking for your feedback.
Why did you give me that feedback? Right.
And that maybe the person who's giving me feedback, I'm like, well, that's okay. I don't maybe prefer your sense of style, but so you don't have to prefer mine. So you have to maybe ask for feedback from the person or type of person that you really want to get feedback from.
Well, and it's okay for it not to be positive, right? Like there's you might get feedback you don't necessarily like.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that would be the whole reason.
What are some ways where you ask for feedback?
I usually ask follow-up questions. Like if we're talking just like supervision or client-based, I will say, last week we discussed this. How was that for you? Or last week we ended talking about this. Is that something you want to continue? Like I'm following up maybe.
I think with the clients or supervisees, I would say, how do you feel? Or what's your reaction to me saying that?
Yeah, I like that.
I don't ask other people that.
That's true. I don't ask other people that. I really, really don't. In fact, especially there have been times where because I have a teenage daughter, she is like, I didn't ask. And I'm like, oops, okay, great.
Which is feedback in and of itself, right? Right. You offer your feedback and the other person goes, oh, thanks. Right. I wasn't asking.
Right. Wasn't asking you. Okay, great.
What about when we're thinking, so that's how we might ask for feedback for ourselves. But if we're trying to get feedback based on supervision, I mean, we did talk about that, clients or supervisee. But what if we're trying to help a supervisee elicit feedback? Do you have any, in the article, they actually talked about some touch points or ways to evaluate in order to get feedback. Do you have any ways that you do that specifically in supervision?
I do ask my supervisees to, when they're checking in with a couple different things. One, if they're checking in with their clients about things, to not be afraid or don't let anything hinder you, because that is part of your job. You're supposed to be getting feedback from your client, how was that for you? Did it work for you?
Mm-hmm.
And then evaluate what they're saying. Oh, you were really straightforward and you're not normally like that. Or whatever feedback they give you, evaluate that. Were you intentionally straightforward or were you bothered that day? Like try and see what's going on. But also, I've asked for feedback from their manager at work or ask them to get feedback. Like, oh, I'd like you to take that to your manager at work because I'd like to know more about that, situation or whatever. So I think that's two ways. But another thing I do a lot with my supervisees is to ask, like, what are you avoiding? Like when you're not wanting to ask for that feedback, like what is it that you're avoiding? Because if you're not comfortable doing it.
I think you're describing helping them to be primed.
Right.
For asking for feedback. How do you prepare yourself? How do you get yourself ready to get the feedback? What are you doing so that the way you ask or who you ask is really, truly open-ended and you're open to receiving the feedback?
Right.
This discussion makes me think about, in the United States, licensing bodies now require that health or mental health facilities do this on a regular basis. If you are licensed by the state or the government, you have to have a system of regularly getting feedback from people. I think that sounds really good. I think that sounds like a positive step. But I think a whole lot of times it's really perfunctory.
Oh, yeah.
You do what you're supposed to do. You
check the box.
Check the box. You get your little questionnaire, your little survey completed, and you file it away. And so I think that's kind of our next point.
Right.
What do you do with it once you get it? But so focusing on asking for feedback, I want to figure out how to create a way to ask for feedback where it's not just checking the box, okay, I did it. And a lot of those big organizations or bigger organizations, it is an online survey or a piece of paper.
Right. Here, read this, answer these questions, and then give us your thoughts. And that's it.
Well, and they do that because it is a bigger organization.
Mainstreamed.
Right. It wouldn't be practical to go to each person and have a long conversation. You just couldn't do that. But I think then what you do with it after you've gotten it or how you ask for it, even thinking about if you are at a place that's big enough that, we have it on an iPad.
Right.
And somebody, you get the iPad and you just fill it out, that in some way there's a follow-up to that, or even that is the iPad user friendly? Is that something that people can use effectively? I mean, so are we asking in a way that actually makes it easy for people to give us what we're looking for?
Right.
More feedback.
That's actually a really good point. Are we asking the right way? Not just what we're saying, but are we asking in a way that elicits the response?
I think sometimes supervisees feel that way, that if they did have an issue or a concern, when we ask, do they feel like they could really give us the answer? So maybe sometimes I think then there's some value in having one of those surveys, or that it is a little bit anonymous. So somebody could put down something that
and it is intended to take the emotionality out of it, right? So if someone's disgruntled about something or something's upset in their form you're filling out, you could still say some negative things, but it takes for the reader and for the person, it can take the emotional push out of it. But that is the point.
What about here, where we're at, when you go to a continuing education event at the end, they are required here to give you an evaluation form. So you're both evaluating what's been offered and the presenter. Do you ever give really honest feedback, or are you quick and you just check the boxes and say, good, thank you?
I'll be honest with you. If I've really enjoyed the seminar, I'm more likely to say, wow, that was really great. You taught me something today about blah, blah, blah. Like I'm more inclined to give that positive, like if I really enjoyed it. Now, for me to say something negative, you've got to be really bad. Have I done it? Yes. But it's got to be so far off that I'm like, your research is from 20 years ago. This is not current. Like it has to be something that like really hit me the wrong way for me to give.
I always think when I do that, a whole lot of times I'm attending a continuing education event that I know the people who are hosting it or presenting, not just needlessly. I think I try to give poignant feedback, but I almost always give some feedback and when I'm writing it, I always think they're thinking, oh, here we go again. Sarah's this one.
I know
from
Sarah.
But I would do the same. If it's like all of it came from a 20-year-old journal article.
Like, why are we talking about
especially depending on the topic. What if it's like a 20-year-old journal article about social justice.
Right.
And you're like,
that doesn't even,
yeah, so much has changed in the last 2 years related to that topic. If you're using a 40-year-old article, it's totally outdated at this point. Okay, so asking for feedback. Now, the second point is getting feedback. And I think that's what I was saying about, I think to me that isn't just asking for it. It means, what do you do with it when you've got it?
Right.
So do you just go, oh, let's tuck that away in our file of pieces of paper that we were required to get?
Right. We had to have this and know what.
So you're getting it, and what do you do with it? Or how do you?
I mean, I think one thing that's important is to look for patterns, right? Like if you've been told something about either your presentation style or your therapy style, or maybe just people have made the same kind of comment lately. Well, there's one common denominator, and that is you. So that's important to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And I like my interns to be aware of that. If they've had more than one person tell them like, oh, you were really short with me, or you were very straightforward. And is that where they're intending to be?
Yeah.
You know, that's a good thing.
Well, so this also makes me think right now, so far we've talked a lot about getting feedback in a direct way.
Right.
But how often are we getting feedback in an indirect way? At first I was thinking, I get course evaluations, and I do think that way. I think, well, out of 15 people, one person said Sarah's a butthead.
Okay, we can live with that.
Yeah. Everybody. And if 14 more people said Sarah's not a butthead.
Right.
So
we're okay.
Okay. That sometimes the feedback we get might not be direct or verbal. Example of feedback that I pointed out to a supervisee a while ago was that she actually brought this up and wasn't creating a pattern out of it. But I reflected back to her that she told me she thought about 80 to 85% of her clients saw her one time and never came back.
Oh, that would definitely be a problem.
And I went, that's an awfully big number.
Right.
And so she was pointing that out as a pattern, but she didn't have the context.
Right.
I mean, she didn't know why. Well, she was a new counselor. So she actually said it with the assumption that that's what happened for all counselors.
Right. But how often do I get the new client that just never comes back?
Right.
It's normal.
What I said to her, was, I mean, wow, I know that I'm not seeing as many new clients as you are right now, because she was trying to build the number of clients she had. But I said, I don't think I've had anyone show up for a first appointment and then completely not communicate after that.
Right.
In maybe a year or more.
Right.
I think it's very, very far and few between. And so what could that mean if this is happening 80 to 85% of the time? That was hard feedback for her to think about. But I think it was nonverbal feedback from all of those clients. I turned it into verbal by asking a question.
Yeah.
But that all of those people who were coming and not coming back, it's hard because then you don't know what to do with that feedback. But the feedback was something about the first session or the office or something wasn't working well for all those people.
That's a great example.
Can you think of other ways that we get feedback where it's not always elicited? We don't ask for it, and not that we're not asking for it, but we're getting that feedback in a way that's not completely clear.
This is a little more specific, but I think body language tells a lot. And I think we see that, of course, with our clients, with how they come in or how they sit down or how they even sit, right? And I don't make it a rule, but generally speaking, my supervisees come in dressed for work. They're ready to go to work or seeing clients that day. And on occasion, I know they see me in their off day. And I don't, I'm honestly not passing judgment, but I have had a supervisee before that came in every single time. Like, oh, I don't know that they were all pajama pants, but like pajama pants, hair in a bun, just totally disheveled. And I was like, what is this reflecting? Like, what are you?
That is a very good point. I don't know that I've ever had to talk to a supervisee about that. But as you were describing that, I thought, in my head, I'm picturing somebody going to a college class.
Right. Exactly.
And if they're a new supervisee, maybe last week they were going to college classes.
Right. And also, that's what they wear in their off time. They only dress up for work. And if they're not seeing clients today, why are they dressed up? Like that's in there. But,
or maybe they have yet to see a client. They're going. Maybe they haven't been given that guidance as to what to wear in front of clients.
Right.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, quick question for you. Are you someone who wants to be fit, healthy, and happy? And what if I told you you could get your dream body by simply just listening to a podcast? I'm Josh.
And I'm KG, and we're the hosts of the Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast.
Listen, we get it. Fitness isn't easy. Carbs, no carbs.
Just stop, okay? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And that's why we made this podcast. We get straight to the facts so you can become your best you.
So the way to check us out is click the link in the show notes or search Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast on any of the major podcast platforms. We'll see you soon.
So I think that is a way that we get feedback that we're not necessarily expecting it, right? We're not necessarily aware of it.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking even around the office thing, like setting a precedent in your office for what you can do in this space, what you can't do in this space, that is often, I think most often, nonverbal or not direct, but it is feedback.
Right.
If someone came in to the waiting area and they were very loud or they were doing something that felt disruptive to the other people that share that space, that most people would pick up on that and maybe stop.
Right.
Not everybody.
Right. I had a client recently that was having a moment and very frustrated and was very loud in the waiting room. And I was actually in between clients, but I went out and said, I'll be with you in just a minute, but we need to be respectful. There's other people here seeing counselors. And it was a teenager and she was very she was just on her phone and, having her moment. But I was like, the whole place can hear your conversation.
Yeah. So sometimes the way that we get the feedback is very direct and obvious. Sometimes it's indirect. And in both ways, we have to decide how we make use of it, what we do with it. We could file it away and not look at it. And we technically have gotten feedback, but did we do anything with it?
Right.
That brings us to the last step, implementing feedback. How do you do that? You ask for it once you've got it, and then you're going to turn around and do something with it.
And it can be tricky because that means change. And not everyone's great at change. And depending on what the feedback is, it could be really tricky to change. Like, how are you going to address a situation where someone is unhappy with something that's out of your control, in an office setting or in a,
This makes me think of a client I had a handful of years ago, and I did not ask for the feedback, but she gave me feedback. She was in a group that I was facilitating, and I saw her individually, but she was also a member of this group that I led.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed her. She came into group one day, and she was just a tiny bit late, less than a minute, but everybody else was already sitting, and she came in, and she was just so full of energy, and she just bright and chatty and friendly that day, and came in and sat down. And it's because she was just so energetic. And I said something to the effect of, "You are so silly. Come sit down. Come join us." And as soon as I said that, everything about her body language changed. Dramatically.
Okay.
Like a light, like
something
there. Yeah. Like a light switch. So I went, whoa, what just happened? Are you okay? And I mean, her verbal communication totally shut down. Yes, fine. She sat down, she looked at the table. It was like her bright, excited energy was not there anymore at all. And so I didn't want to ignore it. So at that point, I then did start going, well, I don't understand what happened. Are you okay? It was so dramatic. I thought there was something physically wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
are you going to be sick? What's happening?
Right.
Yeah.
It took a long time. Finally, she says it, that when her dad is being really angry and then becomes mean with her, he would call her silly.
Oh, so is it direct?
And I went, oh, what? And I did, I went, when I said silly, I meant it in an endearing way.
Right.
Because I thought you were being like fun and cute and
sweet.
Right.
Yeah.
But if that means something different to you, I will make a point of not doing that again.
Right.
I will not use that word, and I'm sorry. So that was my implementing it, that I went.
Right.
And I did. I think that it made me realize, I think I use that word more often than I recognize, silly. And so I made a point, like, nope, I am not going to use that word. Right. I had to be thoughtful about implementing that. But in that circumstance, I decided I am going to implement that.
I need to do this for the benefit of this client. Yes.
What if implementing it doesn't mean changing what you're doing?
Okay. Like, it just means
But what if you acknowledge, maybe somebody comes in and to your, this person
Right.
who was in your office, and you say, hey, we're in the office, we're a little quieter, respecting other people while they're here. And that person says no.
Right.
I mean, so
So,
they did get the feedback.
Right. They got the feedback, but they're choosing
but they
not to
chose
change.
not
Right.
to. Right. I mean, so that could be true for us too,
Yes.
as a counselor that
Right.
or a supervisor, that we get feedback, we consider it, we think about implementing it, and we choose not to implement it the way they're wanting.
Yeah. Could easily happen.
Mhm.
I have a supervisee that was up for a job shift. It was going to be a little bit more money, not quite a promotion, kind of a sideways move,
Mhm.
but good opportunities to learn some new skills and things like that. And she was given great feedback about her skills and her interventions and all different things. And the company thought it was an absolute go. They'd built her up and told her how great she was. And then they came with the full offer. And it wasn't just about the money. It was about the hours they wanted her to work.
Mhm.
She went, no, that's ridiculous. Like, that's nearly impossible. Like,
Oh, wow.
your baseline for our hours without doing any documentation is 43 hours.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that. And really, she's more comfortable working about 30 hours a week anyway, but the 43 or whatever she had calculated was way above where she was at. So she went, can't do that. And they really, really pushed in pursuit of, well, why not? Well, we're going to give you documentation time. We're going to do, company came back with all of these softening it, making it better. And she just kind of held her ground. And now she's at a point where well, I held my ground and they aren't budging either. So now it's this weird spot and I still work for the company in a different role. And what am I,
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
So maybe you come to an impasse. So
Right.
maybe that's another side of that we hadn't really said. So maybe you get the feedback and you consider it and you decide to make the change that they're asking for.
Right.
You get it, you consider it, and you decide not to make the change that they're looking for.
Right.
Or you get it and you're thinking about it and it's not clear
Right. It's kind
whether
of
to do it or
right.
not to do it.
You're on the tightrope trying to decide which way is better.
Mm-hmm. I mean, thinking about that and thinking about how I deal with my supervisees related to feedback, I think I try to be as clear as I can to give them a window into my thought process.
Right.
And it seems like I might do that too with a job. That if this is a sticking point or this is hard,
Right.
then it might still be something that
Right.
we at least communicate it. To say nothing means not giving them any feedback about what they're asking.
Right.
So like the teenager who I said was silly, if she had explained to me and I had just been kind of emotionless, no facial expression, we would have been at an impasse. I don't know. I wouldn't have done anything. She wouldn't have known what to do. So to keep communicating about what that process is.
Kind of a waiting period.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking and I'm blanking on what philosopher it is somebody existential that in not deciding, you're deciding.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember who that is, but that is, yes, by not deciding, you are deciding.
So that fits with implementing.
Right.
Either you're going to implement it or you're not, or you're going to think about it. But at some point, by not doing something, you've made a decision. Which is you're communicating that
Absolutely.
too. But I think after thinking about this and talking this through, that my thought about feedback and supervisees or clients is that the best example that I want to give is to be clear.
Right.
And so then to keep the communication open, it would be my goal.
Yeah. And I think often doing that and having phrases like, let me tell you my thought process, or let me tell you why I think that, or my experience has been this. And that way you're also giving the why. Often people are more likely to kind of understand the reasoning if they know the why.
Well, thanks today for listening to Supervision with a Vision. You've been listening to Supervision with a Vision. Head on over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Therapy Academy to join the conversation and get show notes. We'll be back next week with more Supervision with a Vision.